It'll it'll say update all if it doesn't, you good.
Oh, I see. I got you, David.
Not my trust, for I know what he is. A man of ambition, but he is necessary. Ours shall be an alliance. The
So, I have decided to enter the manosphere as the voice of reason, as someone who is supporting men, but not necessarily hating women, which has been what I've seen for most of the manosphere. But, yeah, sorry, I need to fiddle with wires. This is kind of a test stream. I somehow streamed a blank screen before, so I'm going to make sure that everything's working. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the fact that, yeah, depression is rising fastest in young men, more than older men and more than women. But depression is still suffered more by women in general. And I want everybody to be happy. So, yeah, and then, yeah, there's this discrepancy between how men experience dating apps compared to how women experience dating apps. However, I feel like it's a discrepancy that's it's just multiplying the way things have always been. And that's why I'm grateful for Michael Sartain and his promotion of evolutionary psychology, because it makes illogical statistics, illogical behavioural patterns seem logical, because you have to think that these instincts were grown when we were cavemen, and when the most ideal mate was the psycho who could kill any of the predators, whether it's people or animals. So yeah, of course bad boys are sexy. Bad boys can protect the family from the other bad boys. I would have let you get the ones, but man's turned around and tried to smash me. And got jumped. I'll let him get the ones. Yeah. You wind up. Look at him. He's nearly. You know what? My teammate is AI anyway. I don't need to respect his one-on-one. Next time I'm just going to get involved. Yes, it's lagging. It's not really to me. I'm playing in GeForce, so. GeForce and streaming. Ooh. That's what you get. And AI buddy's made death. You get executed. Bad man ting. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, entering the Manosphere with the plan to build bridges, not walls, basically. But yeah, not just that. Clearly, it's also going to be a gaming channel, because here I am playing For Honor. But yeah, you're gonna witness my Marvel Rivals training arc. Because yeah, I'm okay with Moon Knight now, but generally I suck. I'm still in bronze, and yeah, I don't really play hero shooters much, so my aim and my movement aren't accurate like some people. But yeah, Moon Knight's great for trick shots. And if I find a good camping spot to do trick shots with my ult, I don't have to move and shoot at the same time, which is what I'm not great at. I position an angle and snipe and just move if someone starts shooting at me. Or Groot, I'm pretty good with Groot. But that's mainly because Groot is a tank and he can take damage. But ironically, Spider-Man's my favourite character. He's one of the hardest characters to play, and like movement and aim are essential for Spider-Man. So yeah, Spider-Man's my favourite Marvel character since he was like 4 years old. But he's literally the hardest character specifically for me to play, because he's one of the hardest characters anyway, and my play style is just not suited to him. However, as he's my favourite character, I am determined to get good with Spider-Man. So I'm going to watch the cringe-worthy training arc as Kev with bad aim and bad movement attempts to get good with a character who needs good aim and good movement. With Spider-Man, A, his attacks are weak, and B, his health is low. So unless you, his long distance attacks are weak. So unless you actually get in there, beat them up, and get out quickly, you're not gonna win this Spider. You know what? All this talk is just making me want to play Marvel Rivals. Yeah, am I gonna go to a? Yeah. I don't have any incriminating tags with them. What was on my brain? Yeah, I could talk about the gender thing in the meanwhile. It's probably incriminating things upon the Grok AI questions history, but we'll get into that because I'm curious about this gender question I have. Cultural extremism and balance in 2025. Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah, let's go down. Okay, yeah, I'll read the initial essay and then I'll read the last response or two, because some of there's lots of responses and some of the ones in the middle are kind of irrelevant. Okay, so yeah, this was what I wrote based on what I'd been reading on gender issues and depression. A philosophical statistic and objective analysis of and response to the following essay, please. My rants are better than they rhyme, but some thoughts have crystallised that want to escape. Vague predictions for 2025. All the extremes on all sides will get more extreme. There will be more bullying from SJWs on the far left. There will be more fascism and authoritarian control on the far right. More DEI games will fail before corporations pull their heads out of the sand and accept it doesn't work. Although perhaps the puppet masters are willing to take short-term financial losses for a long-term social engineering psyop. As TikTok tells women to expect more for less, while MGTOW men go their own way, of the Manosphere tell men to stop dating completely, and the Red-Pill Manosphere tells men not to settle down with anyone over 30 or with a high body count, the birth rate and marriage rate will continue to fall, and depression is unalive yourself word will continue to rise, and perhaps halfway through 2026 we will see a movement for balance, nuance and cooperation. Rather than extreme identity politics forcing combative competition, may be many movements in different industries, cultures and regions. The brain rot and extremism will pendulum back to balance eventually, but I think things will get worse in most areas before it gets better. That's culturally worldwide in mainstream media, now including independent streamers. However, individually in our own lives, many of us have broken away from the mainstream extremes and found our own balance, and other people with love in their open hearts who have done the same. We will continue to grow in our own self-determined directions away from superficiality and selfishness towards cooperation rather than competition. People have to identify the problems to solve them, and I don't think most people are mature enough to accept that their own extreme views may be part of the problem. I am sure this includes myself, as I can see some areas I have already had to adjust my thinking and reassess my cultural programming. Now you'll see in the responses I got to this essay from AI, I actually changed some of my thoughts more. So I don't necessarily agree with everything I wrote here anymore, but you'll see. The root of the problem, in my humble opinion, net status. The root of the problem and solutions, in my humble opinion. Superficial people raised on Sex and the City, raising shallow people raised on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, raising gold diggers and F-boys raised on Love and Hip Hop, raising mean monsters raised on Love Island. This is an abridged generalization of how we continue to move towards S-tier idiocracy. That was a typo for me and meant to say towards S-tier idiocracy. But is mainstream media the chicken or the egg when it comes to the cultural zeitgeist? Solution. Find more inspirational media to consume and or make more inspirational media to consume. Straight. Aside, Terence McKenna is also advised that we make media rather than consume media. And counter the superficial brain rot encouraging shallow, heartless self-indulgence and selfishness with thoughts of depth, heartfelt humility and selflessness. Or watch the next generation suffer as between inflation and depression, Western society led by corporatism, which is the more accurate definition of what we call capitalism, does not appear to be providing solutions to happiness in general. Only love can do that. Corporations and governments are not encouraging us to love. Only we can do that. Love yourselves as one with Mother Nature. Love each other as one with each other. Yeah, no, I say that because we judge a country's success in general on its GDP and the gross domestic product. But how much money a place is making does not indicate whether or not people are depressed. How much money the corporations or individual billionaires are making in a country may affect the GDP, but it won't reflect how long people have to wait for a hospital visit. It won't reflect how many people are unemployed, etc. So anyway, I'll read the direct response to that, but then I'll skip to the last response because there's an aspect of the manosphere that's been overlooked that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so it says philosophical analysis. The essay you've provided touches on several philosophical themes, notably dialecticism, the idea that societal extremes will amplify before reaching a synthesis or balance, reflects Hegelian dialectics. Hegelian dialectics is also how they manipulate us with problem, reaction, solution, where thesis and antithesis eventually lead to synthesis. Your prediction of a 2026 movement towards balance echoes this. Moral philosophy. There's an implicit critique of utilitarianism and hedonism prevalent in modern culture, suggesting that the pursuit of pleasure or utility without depth leads to moral decay. The call for inspirational media and love as solutions points towards a need for virtue ethics or care ethics, emphasizing character and relational values. Cultural determinism versus agency. You discuss how media influences cultural norms, but also suggest that individuals can break away from these influences, implying a balance between cultural determinism, where culture shapes individuals, and human agency, where individuals can choose their path. A critique of modernity. The essay subtly critiques modernity's focus on superficiality, consumerism, and individualism, suggesting a need for a return to or development of genuine human connections and self-reflection. Statistical analysis. Extremism and polarization. There's no direct statistical data provided in your text. Yeah, when I mentioned, in the pre-statement that I wanted statistical analysis, I was asking the AI to give me statistics to back up or refute my claims, but it didn't quite understand that at first. But eventually it gets to it. I'll ignore that because it's yeah. No, I'll read it all. The mention of falling birth rates and marriage rates aligns with global trends. For instance, the World Bank notes a global fertility rate decline, and various studies on marriage rates in Western countries, particularly among younger generations, show a downward trend. Mental health. Your prediction of increased depression and suicide, unaliving, correlates with statistics showing rising rates of mental health issues globally, often linked to social media use and cultural pressures. Specific words can get flagged on Twitch and YouTube, which is why I'm trying not to say the S word. Objective response. Extremism. The prediction about the intensification of both left and right-wing extremism finds support in current observations of political landscapes worldwide. However, predicting a specific timeline like 2026 for a return to balance is speculative without empirical support. Yeah, no, you're right, AI. In fact, it's beyond speculative, it's hopeful, but I'd rather be hopeful than depressed. Cultural influence of media. The cycle of media influence you describe, from Sex and the City to Love Island, suggests a feedback loop between culture and media. Bear with me. Yeah, we're going to hear some rival sounds in the background, but it's fine. While mainstream media does reflect cultural norms, it also shapes them, creating a complex interplay. The effectiveness of countering this with inspirational media isn't statistically proven, but philosophically aligns with the idea that culture can be influenced by positive examples. Solutions proposed: media consumption. Choosing to consume or create media that promotes deeper values is a proactive step towards cultural shift. However, its impact would need to be measured against the vast, well-funded mainstream media landscape. Love and connection. Advocating for love and connection as solutions to societal ills is a philosophical stance rather than a statistical one, but it resonates with psychological research indicating that strong social bonds enhance well-being. Self-reflection. Your acknowledgement of personal reassessment of views is a nod to the philosophical process of Socratic questioning, suggesting personal growth and societal improvement might begin with individual introspection. In conclusion, while the essay provides a compelling narrative on cultural trends and solutions, its predictions are somewhat speculative without explicit data points. However, they do engage with current cultural, statistical, and philosophical discussions, advocating for a thoughtful reconsideration of how we interact with media and each other. The call for love and selflessness as antidotes to cultural malaise is a philosophical proposition that aligns with many ethical frameworks, but requires further exploration in practical terms to assess its feasibility and impact. So what did I say? I said, okay, please analyse the following statistical estimates from memory, provide more accurate data, and reflect on how they relate to the essay. Backlash against DEI and Gamergate 2, Star Wars, The Acolyte, and the MCU, reflecting a cultural shift away from left-wing liberals' ideology, Trump, Steve Bannon, and right-wing governments worldwide pointing towards a shift to the right globally and a shift towards more fascist corporatism, a rise in depression, especially among young males. Yes, I'm glad I read this second one, because that is a point of contention that, there's nuance in the rise in depression amongst young males that AI actually informs me of later in this thread. A rise in unaliving, especially among young males, a decline in dating, especially among young males, a decline in employment, especially among young males, a rise in the divorce rate, a decline in long-term dating, the disparity between a woman's experience on a dating app compared to a man's experience on a dating app statistically. However, as I said earlier, I'm not sure if I've edited out the preamble, but the, the disparity between women's experience in dating apps and men's experience in dating apps just reflects the disparity between dating in general forever. It's just that dating apps multiply and amplify the extremes. So men have always been chasing. It's always been easier for women to get laid than for men. But it's getting so extreme that a lot of men are giving up on dating because they're relying on dating apps too much. But yeah, we'll get to that. And the declining birth rate, the TV ratings for Sex and the City, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Love and Hip Hop and Love Island, but most importantly, the inflation rate, especially in regards to house prices and the rise in depression in general. Basically, provide the statistics that support that essay, please, and feel free to reflect on any statistics that undermine the points made in the essay, please. Here's an analysis of the statistical trends you've mentioned, based on available data and current research. You know what, just for entertainment's sake, I'm going to do AI's voice in something a bit like how. Backlash against DEI in media. Gamergate 2. While there isn't an official Gamergate 2, the term could refer to ongoing debates around diversity and inclusion in gaming. There's noted backlash against perceived woke content, but no specific statistics quantify this backlash directly. There's something actually really sexy about that tone. However, there are observable increases in negative reviews or social media backlash when diversity is highlighted in games or media. Star Wars, The Acolyte, and MCU. Anyway, you know what? A lot of this is not as interesting as the let me just briefly scan there. Because that's pop culture stuff that I'm interested in, but most people aren't. And yeah, AI's reflection on it wasn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It could. I think it's because AI can analyze text really well, so it knows what's going on as far as what people are writing on social media and as far as what people are writing in journalism, but it can't reflect video, so it's not aware of how many YouTube videos are critiquing video games and Star Wars and the MCU. Anyway, mental and social issues. Depression among young males. Studies indicate an increase in mental health issues among young men. For instance, in the US, the CDC notes that the rates of depression in teenage boys have risen in the last decade. Unaliving rates. There's been a noted increase in male unaliving, particularly among younger demographics. The WHO reports an increase in male rates in several countries. Dating and employment. There's anecdotal evidence in some studies suggesting young men are facing challenges in modern dating scenarios, possibly due to changing in social sexual norms or economic factors. Employment. Young men, especially those without higher education, have faced employment challenges, with some studies indicating a drop in labour force participation rates among this demographic. Divorce rates rising, long-term rates, dating, more acceptance of singlehood, dating app disparity, yeah, we all know that. Declining birth rates, globally birth rates are declining. Sex in the City, its cultural impact was significant. Keeping up with the diet, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the last statistical analysis because I asked for a lot more detail. Because yeah, we argued a bit, and then it said something that annoyed me. So it said, in summary, while there are trends that align with the essay's assertions, they are part of a larger, more complex socio-cultural economic landscape. The data supports some points, but also indicates that these trends are intertwined with numerous other factors, suggesting a need for a more holistic view of societal changes. Oh, really? Well, please respond with a better one. So, I asked, could you respond with what you think is a more holistic view of societal changes? I.e., if you think you can do better, please express what you think will happen with culture, gender, and identity politics in the next year and how to solve the issues of declining birth rates and rising rates of depression. Yeah, I got annoyed that AI was arguing with me. And B, could you actually give specific statistics, actual percentages during the past 5 to 10 years in the areas that are quantifiable, such as birth rates, divorce rates divided by male to female, and male to male. Divorce rates divided by what percentage are initiated by women, marriage rates and depression rates divided by gender and by age, to see if young men are indeed suffering worse than women or older men, inflation rates and house prices. I would like exact facts and figures, please. So here is where it gets interesting. A holistic view of societal changes. Yeah, when I re-upload to YouTube, I'll probably edit out a lot of the middle bit. A holistic view of societal changes. Cultural, gender and identity politics in the next year. Cultural polarisation. There will likely be continued polarisation, that's what I'm saying, but with increasing instances of backlash leading to a more nuanced conversation about identity. This might result in a slight movement towards centrism, or at least a demand for more balanced representation in media and politics. And that's where I'm coming in, hopefully. I'm hoping to be a more balanced representation. Gender dynamics. The discussion around gender will evolve, possibly with more focus on constructive masculinity and femininity, moving away from binary oppositions. There might be an increase in platforms and policies that aim at gender integration rather than separation or competition. identity politics. There could be a pushback against extreme forms of identity politics, which might lead to a broader acceptance of intersectionality, acknowledging multiple identities rather than singular focus. This could also mean more grassroots movements aiming for more genuine equality rather than performative activism. And yes, as much as I've been left-wing most of my life and I'm moving towards the centre, I still want activism. I just don't want performative activism. I want genuine love, basically. Genuine empathy for other cultures and other demographics. Like, I used to refer to myself as a feminist because feminism used to mean this aiming for equality between men and women. And now most people just kind of refer to it as man-hating. And so to call myself a feminist sounds like an oxymoron as a man, if we accept the more recent acceptance of the definition. So, but I have empathy for women. I have empathy for, there's no need to go into details right now, but I have empathy for women the same way I have empathy for people in Palestine, and I have empathy for people in Israel, the same way I have empathy for poor people, and the same way I have empathy for rich people who get taxed more if their taxes aren't going towards positive things, or rich people who get preyed on by financially predatory potential partners. Solutions for declining birth rates and rising depression. Birth rates, economic incentives. Governments might offer more. This is where AI actually comes in handy, because I had no idea about these potential solutions. So, birth rates, economic incentives. Governments might offer more substantial financial support for families like child benefits or tax incentives. Work-life balance. Policies promoting better work-life balance, such as extended parental leave or flexible working hours, could encourage more people to have children. Cultural shift. Encouraging a societal shift towards valuing parenthood, perhaps through media and that portrays family life positively. Depression, mental health infrastructure, investment in accessible mental health services, especially for young men who might be less likely to seek help due to cultural norms. Community and connection, programs aimed at building community, reducing social isolation, especially through sports, clubs or community service. That's another point at the finger and wag the finger at the Tories, because one of the reasons for the rise of depression in England is quite possibly what we call austerity, and when they closed all the community centres and all the positive things, and basically, in my humble opinion, social engineered and psyoped depression amongst everyone. And this was prior to COVID doing an even better job at creating depression amongst everybody, as we couldn't socialise, we couldn't hug each other, and we were encouraged to be terrified of fresh air. Community and connection, programmed aimed at building community, reducing social isolation, especially through sports, clubs or community service. Education and awareness, increasing education on mental health from a young age, destigmatising mental health issues and teaching coping mechanisms. That's happening. In the 90s and in my youth, it was not cool for you to admit having mental health issues or admit going to therapy. It was like, it felt, maybe this was just my perspective, but it felt like it was kind of admitting defeat. Whereas these days, our children and our teenagers are well aware of psychological issues, well aware of the positives of therapy, well aware of attachment theory, like being detached or overly attached, well aware of narcissism, well aware of different forms of narcissism. I wish I knew that covert narcissism existed all my life, rather than finding out in my 40s that I've been attracting covert narcissists, because, to take responsibility, I am a people pleaser, And people pleasers attract people who want to be pleased, and people who want to get their own way. So yeah, if you act like prey, you will attract predators. I have learned, a bit too late, but I've learned not to do that. To have boundaries and to have enough self-love and self-respect to say no and walk away if you're not getting the respect that you deserve. Oh, slight aside, but yeah, this is why I want to be a voice for the manosphere. I'm not just a simp who loves women. I've been through the ringer, so I have a lot of empathy for men who have been emotionally abused, because I have been emotionally abused. However, I don't hate women. I don't think. See, this is the problem with the manosphere, and I should probably finish reading before I get to it, but yeah, I'm here. The problem with the manosphere is it is right about most of the statistics that it throws out. However, it just lumps everybody into these boxes based on statistics when everybody is an individual and there are exceptions to every rule. So, even if most women are superficial looking for just a rich guy who's tall, even if most dating apps are terrible for men and just flood women with loads of options, even if, for example, one of Manosphere's stats says, even if women who've had a long hoe phase and have a high body count find it harder to pair bond, i.e. fall in love, and have a connection with a person. Even if all those things are true statistically, there will be options for you to fall in love. There will be women who have high body counts who have genuinely changed and genuinely want to settle down. There are women who have who may have all these options and dating apps, but don't just want a 7-foot billionaire. I know guys who are under 6 foot who have had girlfriends. I know guys who are under 5'8" and have had girlfriends. It's just like you have these trends. Like, for example, right now there's this trend of the BBL, and most men aren't into that, in my humble opinion. Currently there's this trend for curvy women because Kim Kardashian popularized the curvy figure. But prior to that, in the late 90s, mid 90s, there was like a waif trend of when Kate Moss was a supermodel, and the runways looked like everybody was smack addicts or anemic. It was. So like you have these like trends, but there's always exceptions to the rule, regardless of what people are into or you think people are into. There's someone who likes the extremes. There are people into furries, there's people into fat chicks, there's women who will settle with a guy who's not rich because she loves his personality. Like the most of these statistics don't uh, don't figure for being funny, for being charming, for having a good social background. You might not have a lot of money, but you might put on events and perform and be able to provide a lifestyle for a girlfriend or partner that's that values higher than what a rich guy who's boring and has no self-esteem could give her, etc. The manosphere misses out on. It just says like bun all this group and bun all that group and don't consider dating women over 30 or don't consider dating women who have children or don't. And it's like there were women over 30 who are amazing, or there were women with kids who are amazing, and but yeah, maybe there are trends amongst specific groups, but that doesn't mean you have to rule out whole groups of people. That's just, it's lacking nuance and it's lacking balance. I'm probably going to have to edit that rant and put it at the end or at the beginning to just kind of set the tone of why I've got issues with the manosphere, because I'm right in the middle of reciting AI's statistical reflection on my prediction of what will happen in 2025, 2026. So yeah, let's get down to specific statistics. Go back to birth rates. Global. The global fertility rate has decreased from 2.5 children per woman in 2010 to 2.3 in 2022. World Bank. US. Total fertility rate fell from 1.89 in 2010 to 1.64 in 2020. Divorce rates. US. The divorce rate in the US has been declining from a peak of 5.3 per 1,000 population. So yeah, let's just skim through this for now. By gender, approximately 70% are initiated by women, and that is a factor. Women are financially incentivized to divorce, so men are emotionally de-incentivized to get into marriage, and therefore de-incentivized to get into long-term relationships, which then destabilizes the entire dating pool, because a lot of men just don't see the point anymore. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Same-sex couples, divorce rates for same-sex couples. Yeah, basically a lot of the manosphere was saying that lesbians have the highest divorce rates, and that's kind of blows a lot of the assumed gender roles out of the water. It seems to be that we assume that men find it harder to commit and women are more romantic, and the statistics kind of prove it's the opposite. Like, women tend to leave relationships sooner, and more often. Women tend to leave marriages sooner and more often, and men tend to fight for commitment more. And yeah, that whole nice guys finish last thing, women get put off by romance. Marriage rates. US, the marriage rate has decreased from 7.0 per 1,000 population. Yeah, marriage rate has decreased. Depression rates. So yeah, women still suffer from depression more than men. That is just a fact. Among adolescents, the prevalence of major depressive episodes increased. For young adults, the increase was 8.8, blah, blah, blah. Men in this age group have shown a more rapid... So yeah, this is where it gets nuanced. Men in this age group, 18 to 25, have shown a more rapid increase in depression rates compared to women, though women still have higher rates overall. I repeat, and this kind of made me reassess my manosphere approach. Men in this age group, 18 to 25, have shown a more rapid increase in depression rates compared to women, though women still have higher rates overall. So yeah, I'm worried about young men. I am. Mainly because the alt-right has been the only movement that's catered to them. The entire left has it's become trendy to insult men, as seen by The View giggling about men don't matter and we don't need men, and as seen by the trend of telling men that you'd rather be in the woods with a bear. But so yeah, and the only people who were in men's corner were people like Andrew Tate, and yeah, it's not balanced. It's not balanced. Most of the manosphere were basically hating whole groups of women, if not all women, and most of the manosphere was very right wing. Now, I'm not trying to be Mr. Left, especially as the left is currently associated more with censorship than with economic policy. I'm certainly not Mr. Right Wing either. I'm not Mr. simp, but I'm not Mr. Hate Women either. So I am hoping to bring balance. But I'm human. I have my own prejudices and I will make my own mistakes. So yeah, young men, depression is rising the most, but women suffer from depression more than men still overall. So let's just have empathy, okay? Let's just like give a damn about younger men. Let's just give a damn about women in general. Let's just give a damn about people. Yeah? How's about that? So yeah, the inflation rate's rising, house prices are rising. We know this. These statistics give a snapshot of trends, but remember, they are influenced by numerous variables, including economic conditions, policy changes, and cultural shifts. The data supports some of the essay's assertions, but also shows that these trends are part of a broader, complex socio-economic picture. So yeah, where did we start? I basically said all the extremes on all sides will get more extreme in 2025, but we will move towards balance. And I ended by saying, we could watch the next generation suffer as between inflation and depression, Western society led by corporatism does not appear to be providing solutions to happiness in general. Only love can do that. Corporations and governments are not encouraging us to love. Only we can do that. Love yourselves as one with Mother Nature. Love each other as one with each other. And me and AI went back and forth for a bit, and the revelation that it hit me with personally, mainly, was that young men, depression is rising the most, but women are still suffering from depression. Let's look at this, just see if there's another main conclusion that's worth looking at. Yeah, we'll talk about birth rates in a bit. But yeah, it basically did agree with what I was saying. I just wanted to say that there was more nuance to it. So yeah, is the birth rate really an issue? I know that a lot of the conspiracy theorists have been saying for a very long time that the quote-unquote Illuminati powers that be want depopulation. And then to quote a pale horse, they spoke about viruses, wars, all of these forms of potential forms of depopulation. But yeah, one of the biggest problems on planet Earth right now is humans. So maybe like a lower birth rate, maybe less humans on the planet is a good thing. Do I sound Illuminati right now? Maybe. That's the funny thing. It's like, if you're new age and positive and conscious, maybe you want the kind of Star Trek future where one government accepts there's no war, there's just one government and everybody loves each other. But if you look at what the Illuminati's New World Order plans are, it's one government. However, you can guess that one government's going to be basically their fascist dictatorship. So aiming for a utopia can get you to the dystopia. Aiming for like, oh, let's remove all borders and we can all just be one country. Who's in charge of that one country? Who runs planet Earth or whatever? So yeah, I don't know which side of the coin I am on depopulation right now, because humans have been terrible on the planet. But to me, I feel like humans can be white blood cells or a virus. Humans can cover the planet in concrete, or humans can cover the planet in hemp.
I tear through the cloudless night,
it is
just
up
like the
to
moon.
us. So we will see whether we will be the cure for the virus. Now, don't expect this to be a particularly good run because I'm yapping while I'm playing, and I've never done that before. I've never streamed whilst playing video games before, so don't expect the world. We have a Spider-Man. Do we have a healer? I hope this guy's good. So yeah, I want to be positive. I want to be the balance. I want to encourage love, not for population, but for love. I am an old school romantic. I want people to fall in love. I want I was concentrating on the game. Yeah. It's part of my spiritual path, really. I don't talk about it as much as I used to, but I am on a spiritual path in my humble opinion. I really need to look at my health bar more. Sometimes I'll just be standing out in the open, getting shots, doing damage till I die. Yeah, I'm still a rapper, I'm still a poet, and I'm still gonna give you bars. But for now, I'm a yapper, not a rapper. And right now I'm neither because I'm concentrating on trying to get some kills. And I'm lagging. Ghost ride the whip. Lag kill. Or maybe I was just lagging. Yeah, don't laugh. That was a fail. Okay, yeah, I know I've had an ultimate for ages and I've not used it when I should have. We're doing well though, we're doing well. I haven't had the best game, but my team's clutching up. Oh, I need help. I need to stick to the healers. Thinking I can take Venom on my own is foolish. And yes, I could have taken him with my ult, but that would have been a waste of an ult. Let's use the ultimate. Boots. Okay. Pointless. Three, two, one. Oh, fail. Win. 4-4. Could be worse. Could be better. Could be a lot better. Shall we? Yeah, boring highlights. Yeah, my ult. I knocked one person out. Nothing special. I want to see what Spider-Man did there. Was he a good Spider-Man? Chasing him down.
Fight for the good guys next time.
Ah, there's somebody at my door. So yeah, I guess that is the end of this stream. That is the end of this stream. I'm going to be bringing balance to the extremes. I'll be once again back upon the scene. Because I went through a few years where I was a bit distressed. I went through a few years where I was stressed and depressed. But now I'm willing to meet the test. So yeah, time to stop streaming, stop recording, and reattend to my spiritual calling, bringing love, spreading love and wisdom. Alright, it's a given. Stay blessed, love yourselves and love each other.